In today's video, we're diving into 20 remarkable gardening secrets straight from the Amish way of life. These tips and tricks aren't just about growing more food, they're about working in harmony with nature while saving time and energy. Number 1. Supercharge with hotbed manure. One of the lesser-known Amish secrets involves using fresh horse manure under raised beds to create a hotbed. Amish gardeners line a shallow pit with layers of straw or leaves, pile on horse manure, then top it off with rich soil. The heat generated by the composting manure warms the plants above, extending the growing season and accelerating seed germination. By carefully layering carbon, straw, and nitrogen, manure, they regulate temperatures and keep roots cozy even in cooler weather. Skilled Amish families monitor the internal temperature with a simple thermometer, adjusting straw layers if things get too hot. This technique acts like a natural greenhouse without relying on electricity. Articles and farm journals highlight that hotbeds can give you a 2 to 3 week head start in spring, or prolong fall harvests into chilly nights. It's especially useful when you want quick access to early lettuce, spinach, or other cool weather crops. The practice keeps plants growing faster, saves garden space, and reduces the hard way aspect of constantly replanting after frost. Even small-scale gardeners can replicate a version of this method using raised wooden frames and composted manure from local farms, making it a cost-effective jumpstart for your garden. Number 2. Clay pot irrigation trick. Another Amish gardening hack involves burying unglazed clay pots at root level around thirsty plants like tomatoes or cucumbers. They fill these porous pots with water and the moisture seeps out gradually, hydrating the soil without overwatering. Modern homesteading blogs refer to this approach as Ola irrigation. Because Amish farms often limit or avoid electric pumps, they invented low-tech ways to conserve water. By checking the pot's water level once a day, gardeners ensure consistent hydration. The porous pot walls allow water to exit only when surrounding soil becomes drier, saving you from guesswork. This system also inhibits fungal issues since water doesn't splash onto leaves. Contemporary YouTube channels demonstrate that you can use decorative ceramic pots, plug the base hole, and bury them near root zones to avoid time-consuming manual watering. The slow and steady irrigation mimics nature's drip, giving you healthier root development and eliminating the hard way of daily hose drenching. When paired with organic mulch, the clay pot trick results in even better moisture retention, translating into fewer weeds and less stress about inconsistent rainfall. Number 3. Living pathways for weed control. Instead of fighting weeds with hours of backbreaking work, many Amish communities plant low-growing, clover-based living pathways between garden beds. A thick patch of clover or low-grass mix outcompetes invasive weeds, creating an attractive green carpet that's easily trimmed by hand or with a simple scythe. Clover roots fix nitrogen, gradually improving soil fertility around your main garden areas. By mowing or cutting the pathways periodically, gardeners collect free mulch material to spread around crops. Experts in regenerative agriculture praise this living pathway method for boosting biodiversity and creating habitat for beneficial insects. Rather than struggling with mulch or landscape fabric, Amish gardeners use nature's competition to their advantage. These green paths also help with drainage, reducing muddy walkways after heavy rains. In modern homesteads, living pathways lead to healthier plants, less chemical weed control, and a more pleasant walking surface. This approach transforms the typical chore of weed pulling into a self-sustaining ecosystem upgrade, perfectly capturing the idea of stop doing gardening the hard way. Number 4. Tightly spaced intensive beds. The Amish often create narrow, deeply prepared beds and place plants close together, forming a living canopy. By minimizing the space between plants, while still allowing enough room for healthy growth, sunlight is used efficiently, and moisture is locked into the soil beneath the dense foliage. Some gardening experts call this intensive spacing or bio-intensive gardening. This layout means fewer weeds can sprout because the ground is shaded. Meanwhile, the plant's leaves protect soil microbes from extreme weather. Research shows higher yields per square foot when crops are thoughtfully crowded. The trick is to ensure each plant has enough nutrient-rich soil and adequate airflow to prevent disease. Amish farmers achieve this by building extremely fertile beds with well-rotted manure and by rotating crops. The approach yields more produce in less area, reducing water usage and the time spent spreading out large row plantings. The result is a more efficient, compact garden that's easier to maintain. Number 5. DIY compost tea barrels. Many Amish homesteads use compost tea to boost plant growth without chemical fertilizers. They fill large barrels or drums with water, add a sack filled with mature compost, and let it steep for a few days. The result is a compost tea full of beneficial microbes and nutrients. Families occasionally aerate the mixture by hand stirring, or simply rely on the natural fermentation process. They apply the liquid around plant roots or as a light foliar spray. Articles from organic gardening communities confirm this homemade brew quickly improves plant vigor, promotes greener leaves, and aids disease resistance. By carefully observing plant responses, Amish gardeners learn to adjust their tea recipes, adding a bit of molasses or fish emulsion for extra nitrogen. This technique is especially beneficial if you're aiming for robust growth without spending money on synthetic fertilizers. In many cases, compost tea significantly reduces the hard way of dealing with stunted crops or soil deficiencies. Number 6. Barn-style potting shed organization. Amish culture emphasizes order and efficiency, and that extends to potting sheds. A well-arranged barn or tool shed helps avoid the chaos of scattered tools, lost seeds, and wasted time. Amish families often use handcrafted wooden shelves, labeled with chalk to store seeds, twine, gloves, and small hand tools. They keep potting benches at a comfortable height, ensuring easy filling of seed trays or transplant pots. Hooks line the walls for rakes, hoes, and forks. Modern minimalists echo this organizational strategy, labeling storage bins, setting up a rotation system for seeds, new seeds in front, older in back, and hanging everyday tools within arm's reach. When everything is in its place, prepping for gardening tasks or cleaning up afterward becomes drastically simpler. This streamlined system saves precious time and reduces the frustration of last-minute scrounging for seed packets. Over months and years, it translates into a smoother workflow that feels far less hard. Number 7. Sunken greenhouses for extreme weather. Some Amish homesteads build partially underground greenhouses, often called wallipini in certain sustainable circles, to protect seedlings from harsh conditions. By digging into the earth, they take advantage of stable underground temperatures, reducing the need for external heat or electricity. Amish families line the sunken walls with wood or bricks, install glass or plastic roofing at ground level, and incorporate ventilation openings that can be adjusted manually. By harnessing the Earth's natural insulation, they can grow cold-tolerant crops year-round or start warm-season vegetables earlier. This design also cuts down on wind exposure, further stabilizing internal temperatures. Gardeners from cold climates marvel at how consistent these subterranean greenhouses stay, allowing for better seedling survival without modern gadgets. Although it requires an initial labor investment, the payoff is huge. Less reliance on costly energy and the ability to garden in winter months, effectively eliminating the hard way of juggling heated seed trays or short-growing seasons. Number 8. Scythe mowing for cheap mulch. The Amish are famous for using scythes instead of gas-powered mowers, but the trick goes beyond tradition. Cutting cover crops, tall grasses, and weeds with a scythe yields immediate mulch. They let the greenery dry slightly, then spread it around vegetable beds to hold in moisture and suppress new weeds. Online forums dedicated to small-scale farming discuss how scythe mowing is quieter, cheaper, and more meditative than using a lawnmower. It's also gentler on soil organisms because there's no heavy machine compacting the ground. Over time, repeated scything creates a cycle. Cover crops or grass are grown to enrich the soil, cut for mulch, then returned as organic matter that decomposes back into the earth. By adopting this approach, you avoid buying bulky bags of commercial mulch and skip the chore of disposing of yard clippings. The synergy keeps nutrients on site, and scything itself becomes a practical exercise in mindful gardening. Number 9. Strategic windbreaks. Harsh winds can devastate crops, dry out soil, and damage delicate seedlings. Amish communities often plant fast-growing trees like poplar or willow, or tall hedgerows around key garden areas to act as windbreaks. They understand that controlling wind means less evaporation, less stress on plants, and stronger pollination rates. Some Amish gardens also use stacked firewood walls or simple plank fences when trees aren't an option. Modern agricultural extension offices consistently promote windbreaks, noting that even a modest hedge can slow wind by 50% or more. In turn, plants conserve water and stay healthier. The best part is that trees grown for wind protection can also serve multiple purposes: firewood, livestock shade, or wildlife habitat. By carefully choosing the location of these windbreaks, Amish farmers shield their vegetables and fruit trees without resorting to plastic row covers or complicated contraptions. It's a timeless way to work with the landscape rather than fighting it. Number 10. Low-tech season extension with cold frames. Besides hotbeds, many Amish gardeners rely on simple, hinged cold frames to start seedlings or protect tender plants. They construct rectangular wooden boxes topped with old windows or glass panels. By placing them in south-facing spots, the sun's rays warm the interior, effectively trapping heat and warding off frost. This helps Amish families push planting dates earlier or harvest certain crops like lettuce and radishes well into late fall. In modern backyards, cold frames offer a straightforward way to avoid the hard way of dealing with seedling losses from unexpected cold snaps. The structure is easily lifted for ventilation on warmer days, preventing overheating. Even if you lack carpentry skills, you can repurpose an old window on top of stacked bricks or straw bales for a similar effect. Online tutorials show that pairing cold frames with thermal mass, for instance, placing jugs of water that heat up during the day, can keep temperatures stable overnight. This method stands as a prime example of the Amish approach: practical, resourceful, and nature-aligned. Number 11. Maintaining kitchen gardens near the house. Many Amish households keep a small kitchen garden close to the home, distinct from larger field crops. This patch contains high-value herbs, salad greens, and frequently used vegetables like onions or peppers. By positioning it within a few steps of the kitchen door, cooking routines become more efficient, and daily observation of plant health becomes simpler. This layout echoes the French concept of a potager, where ornamental flowers and culinary herbs mix. In YouTube videos that explore Amish life, you'll often see neat rows of lettuce and herbs just off the porch, so any sudden pest problem or watering need is noticed immediately. Short strolls to gather fresh produce reduce the reliance on larger, more distant plots, saving time and energy. Plus, with consistent hands-on attention, these mini gardens flourish with fewer weeds and diseases, making the whole growing process less labor-intensive. Number 12. Enhancing bee pasture. Amish farms frequently dedicate a corner of the property to wildflowers and flowering herbs, serving as a dedicated bee pasture. Bees and other pollinators flourish in these pesticide-free zones, boosting yields of fruits and vegetables across the entire homestead. By planting species that bloom at different times, such as clover, phacelia, sunflowers, and buckwheat, the community ensures that bees have a continuous food source. Agricultural research underscores the importance of pollinator diversity for robust harvests. Instead of the hard way of manually pollinating or suffering poor fruit set, Amish gardeners cultivate an environment where nature does the heavy lifting. Many modern beekeepers integrate this idea using small wildflower patches to strengthen local pollinator populations. Observing healthy pollinators also acts as an early warning system. If bee activity drops unexpectedly, it might signal issues like pesticide drift or disease. This synergy between wild habitat and cultivated land exemplifies the Amish principle of creating balanced ecosystems. Number 13. Dual-purpose livestock housing. For off-grid living, the Amish commonly build connected structures where goats, chickens, or rabbits reside in a portion of the barn that's designed to capture nutrient-rich runoff. This runoff is directed to composting systems or worm bins. When animals are bedded on deep layers of straw, their manure and urine mix in, producing an active compost pile right underfoot. Periodically, Amish families remove the partially broken down bedding and finish composting it outdoors. This closed-loop system keeps the barn tidy and streamlines fertilizer production for the garden. Modern permaculturists praise this method, sometimes calling it deep bedding management. The result is a steady supply of microbe-rich organic matter that's far superior to bagged, store-bought compost. It also cuts the hard way out of repeatedly hauling manure from distant corrals. The Amish keep everything close, integrated, and cyclical. Animals feed the soil, and the soil feeds the animals again through the next crop of hay or grain. Number 14. Collective seed libraries. Some Amish communities host informal seed exchanges where families trade saved seeds from heirloom tomatoes, squash, beans, or corn that thrived under local conditions. By pooling resources, everyone gains access to a wider gene pool, leading to healthier crops. This approach drastically reduces trial and error, as neighbors can compare notes on which varieties best resist pests or handle harsh winters. Contemporary gardening co-ops often adopt the same principle, sometimes calling it a seed library. It's a beautiful antidote to corporate seed dependency. Over time, these traded seeds become hyper-local, adapting generation by generation to the region's climate and soil. That adaptability ensures families stop doing gardening the hard way. Fewer fails with generic store-bought seeds that aren't suited to local microclimates. The exchange of knowledge, from planting depth to days to harvest, strengthens the entire community's food security. Number 15. Companion livestock in orchard rows. An advanced Amish trick merges orchard management with animal husbandry. By running small livestock, such as geese or dwarf sheep, between rows of fruit trees, the animals graze on weeds and fallen fruit that might attract pests. They also deposit manure that enriches the soil. This synergy keeps insect populations in check without chemical sprays and naturally mulches orchard floors with animal manure. Agriculture experts call this silvopasture, or orchard grazing, and it's gaining popularity among modern organic farmers. The Amish, however, have done it for generations in their quiet orchards. They ensure the animals chosen won't damage the bark or roots. For instance, goats might be too destructive, but geese happily nibble weeds without harming established fruit trees. The result? Fewer maintenance tasks, lower orchard floor weed pressure, and a continuous fertilization cycle. Another shining example of letting nature handle the workload. Number 16. Skilled hand pollination for special crops. Although the Amish rely on healthy pollinator habitats, they also know when to step in. For finicky plants like certain squashes or melons, Amish gardeners sometimes hand-pollinate to ensure seed purity or better yields. Early in the morning, they use a small, soft brush or even a cotton swab to collect pollen from male flowers and gently dab it onto the female flowers. This technique safeguards the genetics of treasured heirloom varieties. Current homesteaders who want to save seeds can find this beneficial too, guaranteeing no cross-pollination with neighboring fields. While it might sound tedious, it reduces the heartbreak of stunted, empty fruits. Even large-scale Amish farmers do this for rare or high-value crops, balancing nature's role with a targeted bit of human assistance. It's meticulous, but it prevents the hard way of discovering half your gourds never developed properly. Number 17. Layered guild plantings around trees. Borrowing from permaculture ideas, some Amish orchard gardens feature guilds of complementary plants around fruit trees. A typical guild might include a nitrogen-fixing shrub, pollinator-friendly flowers, and a ground cover that suppresses weeds. The Amish have practiced variations of this long before permaculture became a buzzword. They noticed that certain herbs like comfrey or chives deter pests while improving the soil structure around tree roots. This layered planting saves them time weeding and reduces pest outbreaks. Homesteading sources confirm that guilds create resilient mini ecosystems, which in turn yield healthier fruit harvests. Rather than laboriously spraying or fertilizing orchard trees in isolation, you create a multi-layer environment where each plant offers benefits to the others. It's a synergy that curbs the hard way aspects of orchard care, from pest control to fertilizing, by letting these layered plant communities handle many issues naturally. Number 18. low-stress beekeeping hives. Many Amish farms keep bees in traditional wooden hives, but they focus on simpler, less invasive hive management. They typically avoid constant hive inspections or chemical treatments, relying on strong local bee genetics to develop natural resilience. Bees gather pollen from the surrounding fields, orchards, and wildflower patches, boosting the entire farm's pollination capacity. Modern, natural beekeeping advocates mirror these approaches, letting bees form their own comb and limiting artificial feeding. This method reduces stress on both the bees and the beekeeper. While it may yield slightly less honey at times, the colony's health often remains superior in the long run. If pollination rates drop in mainstream agriculture, Amish hives can remain a stable oasis of pollinator activity. Ultimately, the presence of robust bee colonies in or near the garden means fewer hours spent manually pollinating, cutting out one more hard-way chore. Number 19. Celebrating seasonal work frolics. The Amish have a tradition of frolics, where friends and neighbors gather to accomplish big tasks, planting large fields, constructing barns, or harvesting massive amounts of produce. The social aspect transforms grueling labor into a communal event. Applying this idea to your own gardening can be transformative. Invite friends or family to a planting party, a canning day, or a fall harvest bonfire. While this might sound purely social, it's an efficient way to get through labor-intensive gardening tasks quickly. Many sustainable living communities adopt a similar system, calling them work parties or crop mobs. By combining fun, food, and shared effort, you reduce the burden on any single person and finish tasks in a fraction of the usual time. When the job is done, everyone shares the fruits of that labor, literally and figuratively. This communal spirit eliminates the isolation and exhaustion that can make large gardening projects feel impossible. Number 20. Continual skills transfer to the next generation. Perhaps the most profound Amish secret is how they ensure gardening wisdom never fades. Children learn to weed, prune, and harvest by watching older relatives. Teenagers help in seed saving or orchard upkeep, absorbing hands-on techniques that can't be taught solely through books. Over decades, each generation builds on ancestral knowledge, adding new insights or refining old methods. Contemporary agricultural educators confirm that a mentorship-based approach preserves best practices and fosters an ongoing culture of experimentation and adaptation. If you want to stop gardening the hard way, teaching younger family members or local community youth can keep the cycle alive. Let them learn the rhythms of the seasons, the smell of healthy soil, the exact moment to pick a ripe tomato. This living chain of knowledge is what keeps Amish methods robust and ever-evolving. It means you're not just growing food, you're growing the future of sustainable, off-grid, or community-based gardening.